This is, as I understand it, the beginning of a progressive party effort to get 1,500 registered voters by, I guess, the end of July. You have a Secretary of State, first Bradbury, now Brown, who basically should be called Secretary of Lawlessness. They don't even enforce successful initiatives for campaign finance reform. I haven't seen that even in Mississippi, by the way. Congratulations. This is really unusual. I grew up in Connecticut, and Oregon was like, everything progressive started in Oregon. And I've learned to revise my remarks. But the people have the power. You got to say that to yourself. It's absurd that we're letting our country be taken down by fewer and fewer multinational corporations and their political acolytes and servants in Washington. And we really ought to be ashamed of ourselves. It really comes down to our own self-respect. You know, what if you have kids and you got a bully and they're pushing around your kids, pushing them in the mud, kicking them, swearing at them, keeping them down? What would you say? What would you say when your kid was asking for help? Hey, come on, kid. Don't you understand I'm busy updating my profile on Facebook? That's what we're dealing with, bullies here. And the brunt will come on your children and grandchildren. Look at this reckless bailouts and all kinds of increased corporate-induced deficits and debt. They're not doing deficit and debt by building public works and improving clinics and recreational facilities in the neighborhood and libraries and schools and all the things that, you know, make for a nice society. No, they're building the debt by not paying for the criminal wars of aggression in Iraq and Afghanistan. No war tax. The man who proposed a war tax, Congressman David Obey, chairman of the House Budget Committee, he said we should pay for the war with a present tax like we paid for past wars. Shouldn't put the trillions of dollars of burden on our children and grandchildren. And Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, and Obama said to Obey, shut up and sit down. He's only been there 38 years. So 2 days ago he quit. He's quitting the Congress. He's from Wisconsin. And a few weeks ago, North Dakota Senator, one of the best we've ever had, Byron Dorgan, who waited years and years for a Democratic Congress and Democratic President, and put in a bill to allow reimportation of pharmaceuticals for much cheaper medicines for the people of this country, such as from Canada. And Obama looked at him and said, in effect, we're going to oppose you. So, a few weeks ago, 30-year veteran Byron Dorgan quit the U.S. Senate as of the end of this year. Those are insults, and deservedly so, to Barack Obama, because these are progressive people who waited for years for this wonderful prospect of a Democratic Congress. How many times did I tell you that? In 2008, and a Democratic president, and they knew that there wasn't anything going to change of any substance. The rhetoric will change, a few curlicues will change, but by and large, there's a permanent corporate government in Washington that transcends both parties, and the change is not going to be there, the change is going to be here. It's going to be here and all over the country, back home. And so the voter registration for the Progressive Party is very critical, and if you don't do it, you are simply ratifying the perpetuation of a declining society, country, and our role in the world. There's no such thing as unconsequential apathy. Apathy, at its core, is complicity with the perpetuation of the status quo. So, when you hear somebody say, politics, I don't like politics, then you say, well, I guess you like the corporate crime wave unenforced. I guess you like Wall Street bailed out. I guess you like defeat of single-payer health insurance. I guess you like more criminal wars of aggression. I guess you like the more grotesque tax systems. I guess you like all the things, because you're not willing to pick up the oars with other Americans and pull that boat to the shores of justice. That's what we got to say to each other. We don't have to be nasty. We've got to say it, though. No more, I don't want to talk politics to my friends. I don't want to be argumentative. I think if you get people who don't want to be active, have better things to do on a Saturday night in Portland, Oregon, like play video games, or watch crummy movies, or binge on beer, so they can fart. Just give them a card and enroll them in something we set up in 2008, which is the Society of Apathetics. And they don't have to do anything to become members of the Society of Apathetics. They don't have to know anything. They don't have to do anything. But if they want to be an articulate member of the Society of Apathetics, we have the Oath of the Apathetics, which I'll leave for you to look at nader.org on the 2008 campaign. And you got to nudge, push, give humor. You got to really get going. Double your number, triple your number. You've got a real force here in this state. 1,200 really connected, adequate, informed, muscular citizens are very good. You know, I mean, 2 + 2 = 6. One person is one person, but you have 2 people, something happens. You have 4 people, something happens. There's electricity there. And so I hope you'll register and get others to register for the Progressive Party here in Oregon. And the website is progparty, P-R-O-G party.org. On cable radio, I went after that and urged that as well. It's good you have a radio station like that. We just came from Seattle. They don't have a radio station like that. And there's a clipboard, is there, going on to sign up as volunteers. That's very, very important. You learn certain skills, you develop certain levels of energy, and you meet a lot of people I think you'll like to meet, as many of you already have. I mean, you wouldn't be here if you weren't involved in civic activity to begin with. I'm told you have 90 days to get 1,000 registered voters. As you know, we've had experience with Oregon electoral laws and sabotaged by the Democrats. All that described in my campaign manager's new book called Grand Illusion, The Myth of Voter Choice in a Two-Party Tyranny. It's a wonderful book. It's real detailed, very personal, but it has historical context going back to the 19th century, and it has good recommendations for reform. And her name is Teresa Amato, if you want to look up that book, Grand Illusion. There's never been one written like it because she was involved in 2 campaigns, she was involved in litigation, and she interviewed a lot of people around the country. I want to make some remarks about the Obama regime. We have now almost 16 months. So it's good for a little evaluation. It's disappointing even beyond what I expected. I never really expected much from him because I watched him as a state senator, I watched him as a U.S. senator. He's conflict averse. He doesn't like to take on power. His worst trait, which to me in a politician is unforgivable, is he turns his back on the people who support him and have nowhere else to go. And he knuckles under to the forces of power who have somewhere else to go and are making avaricious demands on his use of presidential power and how he goes about these cardinal issues of our time.